Hey, what's up guys, Zach here, and I'm playing a little Minecraft. Just wanted to make like a quick update video. More of a vlog than anything else because I wanted to talk about something that's going on. Something, I don't know, it probably won't interest the majority of you guys, but it's basically about the George Zimmerman Trayvon Martin case that's going on right now. It just started yesterday, and you can basically watch the live streams, which I think it's kind of cool. But it's bigger than that in my opinion. The lessons that I've learned so far, and it's only been going on they started. I guess they started about 9 a.m. Excuse me. About 9 a.m. yesterday, and I think they started 9 a.m. today. They went till about almost 5 o'clock yesterday. So that's 8 hours, plus they've been going on for about 4 hours a day, maybe. So 12 hours in the case, half a day into the case so far. And one thing that's become really, really obvious, and I think people in general, whether they be adults, maybe not so much young children because it's not going to affect them as much, but teenagers, pre-teenagers, one thing that you need to be wary of is the effect of media bias. I mean, there's a media bias all over everything. Anything that you read that's basically printed, that's not an instruction manual, or isn't teaching you step by step how to do something, that requires any kind of choice of vernacular that is not completely, that has any kind of subjective language in it, is going to be biased in one way or another. A good example, I mean, I think everyone has watched or seen the news at least once in their life, probably, that's watching this. If you turn on Fox News, you're going to get a completely different side of a story in many cases than you would if you went to Reddit.com, Huffington Post, or maybe turned on MSNBC. And that's just the way things go. I mean, every organization is going to be, in one way or another, motivated to take sides. They're going to be motivated to do a lot of things. Now, one thing that I've noticed in this case is that people that are supposed to be neutral in the case are taking sides. Experts or people of the community are taking sides. For example, honestly, I'd call it out right now if I was the defense. The so-called president or whatever of this community that the Trayvon Martin case happened in, the Zimmerman Martin case happened in, he openly says that no, we didn't have police in the area. Why did I make this? What was I trying to make? I don't even know. We didn't have police in the area, and it was good that they formed this community watch. However, I don't think it was necessary. Now, here's the issue. I can't say beyond a reasonable doubt or without any kind of argument here that this guy is saying this because he truly believes it. I mean, because it's impossible for us to know what he truly believes unless we're going to hook him up to a lie detector test. He is, in fact, doing so, I think, because of media bias. I think, the media has obviously kicked this case up well beyond where it should have been. Excuse me. I think that the media has certainly... Well, actually, let me detract from that. I say the media kicked it up. Obviously, this is something that needed to be recognized. Whenever there is a crime like this, oh my goodness, or a murder occurs, obviously it should be recognized. That's something that people should know. I mean, and regardless of the circumstances. When there's loss of human life, that's a place where media should kick in. But this has been so extensive that it's become a civil conflict almost. I remember when he died, people were talking about there's a potential of there being race riots. And I'm like, race riots? Why? Why would there be I understand Trayvon Martin's black, and everyone's saying this is another black versus white case. George Zimmerman is half Hispanic, registered as a Hispanic voter. There's nothing that makes this a black versus white case, and it seems like that's what everyone is hell-bent on making it out to be. I don't know, I think, in all honesty, my opinion is that both sides are at fault. I think Zimmerman, he did act in self-defense. I don't think he had to kill the kid to preserve himself. Maybe to preserve some physical features about himself. He might have had facial bones broken. He may have been unconscious. But I don't think that Martin had the intent to kill him. And then on the other hand, I think you have to know, if you're a 17-year-old black male, not to walk around and acting suspiciously in the rain wearing baggy clothing at a place where there have been break-ins. And it's not because I'm a racist that I say that. I say that because I know how people think, and I know that there's still racism in society today, and I think we have to be reactive to it. I think even though it's not his fault, it's, unfortunately, that's just how society works. You can't tell me that there's not racial stereotyping in everything. And that's just the absolute truth about it. And until we stop blaming race for everything, it's going to continue to be a fact. And it's not, and I say, what I said was because he was African American. And it's not so much even that. The people who were suspected and supposedly arrested in connection with, although it was not limited to just those people, were late teenaged black males that had been reported doing these break-ins. So when you match the description of individuals who have been linked to felony level burglaries in the area, why would you... I understand if that's the only way to get home, but I don't know. Sometimes I think you need to use better judgment, but honestly, I don't put that on Trayvon Martin. I just think he was a guy that was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And I don't know. There's just so many facts, and I'm making the assumption that yes, Martin did confront him. Now, if he didn't confront him, then I detract all of that. I think that then it's totally Zimmerman's fault. What I would really honestly like to see, assuming that Martin, actually bloody the guy's nose and then take him to the ground and attempt to at least harm him, I would like to see Zimmerman acquitted, but then I would also like to see a civil suit filed against him for... You can't really call it wrongful death because that's in one of the statutes of second-degree murder. If he's considered to... I don't know. I just really, really wish they could do something different with it. Somehow say that, assuming that Martin did. And that's another one of the things that I hate about it. Every little thing, because there's been so much information, every bit of information is disputed. And you don't know what's true and what's not. And it really, really sucks. But... we're seeing neutral witnesses obviously taking biased sides because it could ruin their reputation if they side themselves with, say, a killer. Which is very interesting because, say 60, 70 years ago, if the same thing happened, people's reputation could be really damaged if they sided themselves with an African American who was a victim. You know, this guy, I don't know about Florida, but in the South in general, black sympathizers were still really suppressed. So, you know, thank God we've come at least that far, but, you know, who knows? I think the whole thing is screwed up. I think so far the prosecution has done a very good job at least showing the burden, which, especially with the dispatcher, and especially with, who did they interview today? Another person they interviewed today was, I don't know, whoever gives the training for, like, Community Watch, some lady that does that. She works with their Sanford Police Department or whatever it is there. They did a very good job of showing that he did have a demented mind. I think he said something along the lines of, to the dispatcher, when he was talking to him on the phone, after a short, you know, and he was calm the whole time. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's still in a calm voice, he says, "Effing punks, these a-holes always get away." And, you know, he didn't say effing punks, he said he wasn't too prudent about it. But that, to me, shows a bit of a demented mind. That, no, maybe he wasn't like, oh, that's Trayvon Martin, I'm going to go murder this guy. No, not that. He didn't know the kid. And they did a very good job of pointing out that, no, he didn't know the kid, and he's calling him an effing punk. So maybe it's not that he had something against Trayvon Martin, he had something against this kind of a person, because he assumed that they were a certain way, just because they dressed a certain way. And that's, I don't know. I personally, and it's not Trayvon's fault, but personally I think if you are looking out for yourself, you have to know that too. It's not only who you are, but who others perceive you as, that you have to be, you know, you have to know that in situations. I think, I don't know, I think it's a really screwed up case. I think very easily this could be turned as Zimmerman being the bad guy. But it could also be turned as Trayvon being the bad guy, because Zimmerman does have criminal charges. He's had a restraining order filed against him, against one of his ex-girlfriends, because she cited physical abuse. That, to me, means that this is an individual that, yes, he's prone to having bursts or fits of rage. So, I mean, that shows me that somebody that has a history of being violent. Now, disputed information. Originally, Trayvon Martin was said not to have a criminal background. However, when a request was filed under the Freedom of Information Act, we received information that he was suspended from school for twice being, at least there was a police report filed, and I think once he was, he actually did get in trouble for it. He was found stealing women's jewelry, at least once. So that there's the predecessor of robbery there. I mean, so that potentially, I mean, if they can bring that out and show that Trayvon Martin was a robber, then that's gonna, you know, it's the same thing with Zimmerman. If they can show that in the past he's acted in violent ways, then so be it. He's acted in violent ways, and that's going to just go ahead and show that, you know, this guy has fits of rage. Who's to say he didn't have a fit of rage? And, you know, seeing this guy around his community where places were being burglarized didn't just set him off. And very, very likely that he killed him just out of cold blood. And then on the flip side, if somehow the defense can show that, I think Martin was a troubled teen. He's not an individual who is as mild-mannered and respectable as the media had made him out to be. They show the suspensions in school, the possession of marijuana and marijuana paraphernalia, which is still illegal in Florida, that will, in effect, shed some kind of doubt that this guy is kind of, a bit of delinquency at least, that this guy may have been up to no good, and that Zimmerman may then have been in his right to follow this young man, and he, sometimes you get a hunch, and you're right. Personally, not knowing George Zimmerman, I don't know if he's one of those type of guys that a hunch is enough to really trust him, but, I mean, if they're able to show that, then he's right, and there tends to be an idea that when someone is a criminal, they don't want to be caught. So then I think the likelihood that the story that goes that Trayvon Martin punched Zimmerman in the face and then tackled him to the ground and was beating his head almost until he became unconscious against the sidewalk, I think then that becomes much more believable. And if they can show that, then it's self-defense, no doubt. But until they can really show that, I think they're screwed. The prosecution, I think, has a leg up right now, and that's very, very strange, because usually it's easier to be the defense, but in this case, because there is so much media attention around this, so much, people, it's not that they don't want to get involved, they don't want to take a side that would be detrimental to, I think, I don't know if you can file for appeals on those grounds, but if for some reason he is convicted, I would do that. However, it's not going to change the next time either. I think that a lot of people have kind of misinterpreted the way that this case is set up. Now, my understanding of reading the Florida state law, usually in second-degree murder, you have to show that they have a demented mind, and the murder has to, there has to have been an unlawful killing of one person of another. It can't be, pre-planned, anything like that, because that elevates it to something else. But, obviously, there's a lot that goes into it, and unfortunately I don't know all of that, but I know for a fact that they usually use it in the case of wrongful death. They also use it if it was during a felony, and there's no sign whatsoever that this kid was committing a felony at the time, so I think that kind of leaves it out. But whether or not he had intention to is something else altogether. So, who knows? It's just something that I wanted to talk about. I'll be in law school in 2 months and 1 day. I will be there for my first day at the age of 22 years old, trying to tackle the whole world of law and how we're supposed to come up and be just and righteous beings. And follow the law, or how to break the law and get away with it, whichever. Whatever lawyer I decide whatever law I want to go ahead and look into. But I just thought that was really interesting, a really good hot topic right now. And I think if I get time, which I won't have come Saturday, I get really busy from Saturday through next Wednesday. I would like to do more of these, just on things, maybe an update, maybe another update on this, I don't know. I think I just feel like it's a big deal right now. It's all over the news, people are making a big deal of it. It's almost as big of a deal as the Snowden thing in the NSA, but that's a totally different, there's not enough time in the world for me to discuss all that and how screwed up everything is there and how Big Brother is out to get all of us. I don't know. I really just, when I heard it, I was just like, oh my god, are you serious? Are you serious? I think it was in the back of a lot of people's minds, and they were just like, they probably monitor all this. Or I don't know, maybe that's just the southern conspiracy theorist mindset that I have, or that I'd like to associate with the rest of society, not believing in our government and thinking that they're just out to get us. I don't know. But anyway, guys, if you made it this far through the stupid, kind of just silly discussion that I just had about, I think it's relevant. It's something that's relevant right now. But let's see. We got a bunch of seeds today. That's good. But yeah, thanks guys for watching. Hopefully this wasn't too boring. If you have any comments, if you want to argue with me, I really don't care. If you want to comment about that, and I will explain myself in the next video, explain it to you in comments, personal messages. God, I'll give you my phone number and we can text about it. I really, at this point, I really am not too concerned. Any comments or concerns you had about anything I said. It is my opinion. It has nothing to do with Minecraft. It has nothing to do with anybody at Mojang. It has nothing to do with anybody in my family, anyone that I'm associated with. They're all my opinions. If you'd like me to clarify something or just talk about it again, or if you want to just talk about it, I mean, agree with me or not agree with me, I mean, feel free to comment or whatever. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I hope to put up another one soon, and thank you for watching.